Hello guys, it's your girl Thea here. I'm a 43-year-old woman who has come to you with an interesting story. This story takes place a few years ago. When I was turning 40, I was lucky enough to marry into a wealthy family due to my husband Tom. His father Carl was a businessman and I actually met him through work. I was working at his father's company for a few years where Carl had been sort of my tutor. I left the company to pursue a relationship with Tom. We had a great relationship since we were both extremely successful and really had a great life. Years later, we got married. While Carl was supportive of me, Tom's mother, Melanie, never liked me. She always thought that her son should have married an heiress and not someone who was a simple worker. I always found her behavior odd, especially since she was a snob and looked down on people. I never confronted her because I didn't want to cause trouble. Well, that didn't turn out very well for me. It all started when I had to leave my job. I still remember the day when she and my husband started to berate me. They said, "I can't believe you would leave such a good job like that. You were in such a high position, and they were going to promote you so soon." Tom, that company was working me to the bone. You have seen how I lost sleep and my mental health declined horribly these past few years. I really needed to leave that job. "You should have hustled for a few more years. Only losers leave their jobs. Although I always knew that you just don't have it in you to hold a position of power. She did what she had to for her well-being. You two need to be more supportive of her decisions. Stop bothering her about her choices." Carl's words had stopped them at that point, but they restarted their banter whenever he wasn't around. Guys, believe me, my last job was slowly killing me from the inside. My mental health was so bad that my therapist was worried on my behalf. I had no choice but to leave the job. It's not like I wanted to be unemployed. I was trying to look for a job. I simply needed a breather, that's all. But my husband and mother-in-law didn't like that. The full extent of their narrow-mindedness was revealed a few weeks later. They randomly sat me down and said, "You will not be attending my father's retirement party, Thea." "What? Why? Why can't I attend the party?" "Do you seriously have to ask? Your jobless status is an embarrassment to our family. We can't allow you to spoil the party. This is important for my dad." "That's right. I don't want people gossiping about Carl's useless and jobless daughter-in-law. People need to only talk about his accomplishments and not gossip about you." "But I really want to be there for Carl. He had been a mentor to me. I am his family too. You can't just push me away." "Oh, please. I won't let you embarrass my husband at the retirement party. If you had any shame, you would have suggested staying back yourself. You better not show up and soil our elite status, Thea." "Is this what you think too, Tom?" "Of course I do. Mom is absolutely right. No one wants a loser at a party like that. You better stay home. I won't ask you again." I couldn't believe what my husband and mother-in-law just did to me. They said that they were ashamed of me. The way Tom was behaving hurt me the most. He had turned into a horrible husband, and this incident just made things worse. I cried my eyes out that day and felt worthless. Tom didn't even comfort me and went to sleep instead. I was a mess, and my fragile mental health just couldn't take it. It was one of the darkest days of my life. Carl wasn't told of Tom and Melanie's plan. I was told not to approach Carl about this, so I didn't. I really didn't want to cause trouble and ruin his day, so I kept my pain within myself. Carl probably knew something was wrong but didn't push the issue. But a few days later he called me into his study to talk about something. Tom was busy watching TV while Melanie was off to a kiddie party. Carl took that opportunity to sit me down and said, "Thea, I need to talk to you about something important. I had a bit of a chat with my assistant yesterday, and he said that you were not invited to my retirement party. Is it true?" "Yes, Carl. I'm not actually invited to your retirement party. I guess your assistant figured that out after reading the guest list." "May I ask whose decision it was to exclude you?" "Let me guess. Melanie's behind this, isn't it?" Carl was looking at me with a very serious expression. This man has been in a cutthroat industry, and he definitely didn't rise to the top by being stupid. He had eyes and ears everywhere, and his attention to detail is just brilliant. No wonder both Melanie and Tom are so scared of him. Surprisingly, he had a very good relationship, and he had often remarked that he admires me for my handwork. So I never really feared him. I just had a lot of respect for him. That was one of the reasons why I decided to just tell him the truth. Besides, he was a receptive man and would find out the truth anyway. I had no moral obligation to protect Tom and Melanie after they were so cruel towards me. I said, actually, it was both Tom and Melanie who didn't want me at the party. They told me their decision jointly, so there's no doubt about that. Did they give you a reason why they excluded you from the party? This is a little bizarre, since I can't imagine not having my own daughter-in-law missing from my retirement party. Well, they did give me a reason, and I really don't know what to think about it. Apparently they didn't want me at the party because I am jobless now. You know how much they hated it when I quit my last job. They think that it would be embarrassing to have to tell everyone how I am jobless now and depend on my husband's income. Carl looked a little taken aback by what I said. To be honest, I probably had the same, if not worse, expression on my face when they told me the reason. It was simply too bizarre. But, knowing their twisted mind, they probably thought this would be the best way to go about it. Tom and Melanie are pretty snobbish people who think people with no jobs are losers and freeloaders. I mean, they said that straight to my face already. I also haven't forgotten about the fact that Tom and Melanie were being downright unreasonable when I said that I was going to leave my job. Carl remembered that as well and said, I can't believe they're still holding on to their snobbish beliefs. It's just plain wrong. Melanie was always like that, but Tom has changed drastically over the years. I don't know where I went wrong with my son. I don't think you can be faulted for that, Carl. He almost always surrounds himself with snobbish people like him. Besides, he has a habit of showing off and doesn't like to settle for anything. I guess he wanted to have a wife earning big money, even if it mentally ended her. Tom is turning out to be an even worse husband than I had imagined. I don't even know why you tolerate that loser anymore. Is this the kind of marriage you wanted for yourself, Thea? Carl's words had me reeling back with a realization. For years, Tom had been acting very off, and his entitlement was rubbing me the wrong way. I tried my best to broaden his mental horizons, but he simply wouldn't back down from his snobbish thoughts. His mom's encouragement didn't help the case at all. After I left my job, Tom's change in behavior has been stark. He no longer regards me with respect and treats me like the dirt under his shoes. It was starting to wear me out, and I had some tough doubts about my marriage. So when Carl asked me that question, I said, I don't want this kind of marriage for myself, Carl. Ever since I left my job, Tom has been acting horribly towards me. It's like I don't even matter as a person anymore. I keep telling him that I will take a new job soon, but he has been calling me all sorts of names, like lazy, loser, and even gold digger. That's rich coming from him. Tom is the laziest man I have encountered in my life. That's why I don't let him meddle in my business as much. He never protested because he thought that ultimately he would take over everything once I retired. He does feel that way, Carl. I guess he thinks he doesn't need to try hard and to do well in life since he has your business. I can understand his thought process, but it's annoying how he doesn't do much, but still calls me a loser. Listen to me, Thea. Tom is an idiot. He doesn't deserve a hard-working woman like you. I supported you in leaving your last job because they were exploiting your skills and treating you badly. I have big plans for you, dear. You just don't know them yet. As for my son, he will regret treating you this way. One day his laziness and arrogance will catch up to him, and that day isn't very far away. Melanie will get her due deserts in time too. I really think I should separate from Tom, Carl. You have been like a father figure to me, and your words mean a lot to me. But I don't think I can tolerate this insane humiliation that Tom and Melanie are putting me through. I don't think I deserve this. I was serious about what I said. The more I thought about Tom's horrible behavior, the less I wanted to stay in the godforsaken marriage. I never asked him for anything and have always been an independent woman. Hearing those idiotic jabs from Tom and Melanie have really put things into perspective for me. Tom only cares about keeping up appearances while he has no regard for people around him, even if the one getting hurt is his wife. I was done with his behavior. Carl's face also said the same thing. He said, "The decision is up to you, Thea. I was hoping that having a strong woman by his side would inspire him to work harder and not sit around like an entitled prince. But Tom has already shown me that he is useless as ever. I will support you in whatever decision you make, Thea. It's time you put yourself first." I'm glad you support my decision, Carl. You have no idea how much it means to me to be heard and have my feelings validated. You are a great girl, Thea. I consider you like my own daughter. You have a bright future ahead of you, and I just know that. Thank you, Carl. I hope your retirement party turns out to be a blast. Tom and Melanie have made some great arrangements. I'm sure it will be a party to remember. I was a little sad that I won't get to attend Carl's retirement party. He had been a mentor to me in many ways, and I wanted to be there for him. However, Tom and Melanie had made it very clear that they wouldn't allow me into the party under any circumstances. So to avoid conflict, I gave up and accepted their horrible decision. But to my surprise, my father-in-law was not okay with that. He said, "Oh, no, I will have none of that. If you think you won't be coming to my retirement party, you are dead wrong. You will join the party as my guest. I will send you an invite through my assistant. Don't worry." What? Are you sure about this, Carl? Tom and Melanie are not going to like this one bit. Well, I don't care about what they like. I want you at my retirement party. I will not have them exclude you. You are family, just like they are. You will be my guest of honor. Just be there, Thea. I actually have a surprise for you and them. Who knows, you might actually end up enjoying the party and getting back at Tom and Melanie for their horrible behavior. Carl laughed when he said that. I was a little suspicious of what he was planning, but I trusted him completely. Like I said, he was like a father to me, and we always had a great relationship. To be honest, he sounded and looked positively horrified when he discovered what his son and wife were up to. Perhaps he did have a plan for them after all. As for me, I was going to enjoy whatever vengeance I could get without having to lift a finger. I do believe in karma after all. The retirement party was only a month after my conversation with Carl. During this month, I started to look for other jobs, but Carl suspiciously told me to wait for a little while before I started applying to random companies. I was again pretty skeptical about what he was planning, but went along with it. To be honest, I did need a break after suffering for years at that horrible company. I deserved some quality time alone without having to worry about work. Tom and Melanie, of course, had a huge problem with this. They regularly berated me for being lazy and not doing enough to get a job. One day they said, "God, I can't believe you're having the time of your life without worrying about getting a job. I bet it feels nice having a luxurious life on someone else's money." What are you even talking about, Tom? I'm having fun on my own money. You know I have money saved up. I need a break before getting back to work. My mental health is already in shambles and you are just not helping. Don't you dare talk to my son like that. He is justified in being worried. You are not earning a cent and vacationing like you are made of money. Soon that saved money will disappear and then you will sink your claws into his savings too. That's your plan, isn't it, Thea? I know now that you are a gold digger. I wish I would have listened to Mom and married someone else. At least I wouldn't have been stuck with a loser like you. That evening, I met with a lawyer and started to prepare for a divorce. There was no way on earth that I was going to keep getting humiliated and do nothing about it. That day, I knew that my marriage had come to an end. I needed to get out of this horrible marriage immediately. I also communicated my decision to Carl, who surprisingly smiled and agreed with me immediately. With that sign of support, I prepared for the divorce and was just waiting to serve him. I wanted Carl's retirement party to go smoothly, so I waited to tell Tom about the divorce later. There were no expenses spared at Carl's party. Since he was a more or less renowned businessman in our city, the preparations needed to be big. Melanie has good taste, even though she is a snob and a downright evil woman, what? I know to give praise where it is due. Tom and Melanie had left with Carl while I joined later. That was because Tom and Melanie had expected me to listen to them and not attend. God knows what excuse they had given Carl for me not showing up. Anyway, I did show up when the party was in full swing. Tom and Melanie immediately looked annoyed when they spotted me. They walked up to me and said, "What on earth are you doing here, Thea? I told you to stay away from the party." "You have some nerve showing up here after we repeatedly told you not to come. God, what will we tell the guests now?" "We don't have to tell them anything, Mom. Very few people have noticed her." "Then you better leave before everyone spots you." Tom and Melanie were in the process of throwing me out when Carl's voice boomed behind them. While Tom and Melanie were whispering, Tom loudly welcomed me to the party. Tom and my mother-in-law actually looked surprised and nervous when Carl walked up to us. He said, "There is my amazing daughter-in-law, Thea. Where were you? Everyone's been waiting for you." "Oh dear, Thea hasn't been feeling well. She's just leaving." "Yeah, Dad. Thea needs to go back now. You can go talk to the guests while I see her out." Carl laughed when they not so subtly tried to throw me out. Their effort was remarkable, but Carl was smarter than them. I have no idea why they thought they could fool Carl with their ridiculous behavior. Carl actually said, "Thea looks perfectly fine to me. Besides, she can't leave. She's the guest of honor today." "What? Thea's the guest of honor?" "Yes, sorry I forgot to mention that. I know you and your mom didn't want to invite her, so I did. That was rude of you, by the way. Thea is an important guest today. I'm shocked that you think my own daughter-in-law cannot be at my retirement party." Melanie and Tom now looked very panicked. They probably had expected me to stay quiet and not show up to the party. But now they discovered to their horror that Carl knew what they tried to do. And even though he was smiling, we knew well enough that Carl was pissed. Melanie gulped and smiled nervously, trying to defuse the situation. She said, "Carl, dear, you are misunderstanding us. I don't care what you two were thinking or why you didn't invite Thea to the party. She is my special guest, so she is not going anywhere." "But, Dad, she's an embarrassment to us. She's unemployed and doesn't have much money left in her account because she was busy trying to have a good life without a job. She's not worthy of being around our elite guests." I was told that her jobless status was a problem for you two. Well, you don't have to worry about that anymore. I'm here to make that problem disappear. Everyone, listen up." Before any of us could make out what Carl had in mind, he actually clicked his glass and got everyone's attention. Everyone looked at us expectantly while waiting for Carl to speak. Tom and Melanie were looking kind of nervous as well. They felt reprimanded by Carl for not inviting me and were shocked to know that I was actually the guest of honor there. Just when I thought things couldn't get any better, Carl said, "As you all know, I have retired as the CEO of my beloved company. I'm pretty sure you all have been wondering about who will take my place now that I'm off to enjoy my life. Well, after pondering about things, I have come to a decision. I will be naming Thea the next CEO of my company." There were gasps and noises of appreciation going around the room when Carl made his declaration. I was dumbfounded by his words and thought I was dreaming. So this was why he insisted I come to the retirement party? This is what he meant when Carl said that Tom would get his just desserts very soon. He declared in front of all his work colleagues and rivals that I would be his new CEO. Carl was smiling at me while Tom and Melanie looked both shocked and angry. Tom said, "What? No, Dad. You can't do this. I'm supposed to be the CEO. You can't take that away from me. I deserve this position, not Thea." "Oh, really, Tom? What makes you think you deserve this position? You are a horrible worker and had problems with most people in the office. I asked around, and to no one's surprise, nobody wanted you as the CEO. Not even my own advisors or shareholders wanted you as a CEO. Carl, This is not okay. You are being stupid by handing over the company to Thea. Tom is the future shareholder of your portion of the company. You can't just slight him like this. That is where you're wrong. I've already prepared documents to transfer 50% of my shares to Thea. You two will inherit the other half. I honestly couldn't believe what I was hearing. Carl was going to give me half of his shares in his company. That was huge. This also meant that Tom would never have more shares than me. Mark was serious about it all. He never was a person who jokes anyway. Tom and Melanie absolutely went crazy when Carl made those statements. They said, "This can't be happening. You can't do this, Dad. I'm your son. I deserve all of your shares." "You have done nothing to deserve my shares, Tom. I'm giving you and your mom half because you are family. Thea is the only one around me who has what it takes to be a good CEO. I'm not leaving my company to a loser like you." "Thea, you need to tell Dad that this is wrong. Tell him that he should leave everything to me. Tell him that you won't be the CEO." "Why would I do that, Tom? If Carl wants to give me the responsibility, I will take it. Besides, you should be happy that I am finally getting a job. Guess I won't be a loser anymore. However, the same can't be said for you." Tom was absolutely shocked when I said that. Carl laughed at my words and told me that he knew I was ready to stand up for myself now. He wasn't joking when he said everything. He even showed everyone the papers that backed his promises. Melanie and Tom were furious and were almost on the verge of tears. However, neither I nor Carl backed down. In the end, they decided to stay quiet after Carl scolded them for ruining his retirement party. After we went back home, there was a huge fight about everything. Tom and Melanie even begged me not to take the position as the CEO. I had some choice words for them, and even Carl berated them for being so entitled and evil. It was then that I told Tom that I was going to divorce him. At first, he tried to change my mind. Then he and his mom tried to use this to portray me as a gold digger. Carl laughed at that and informed them that he knew about my decision, and it was made way before I even knew that he was making me the CEO. When everything failed, they resorted to begging again. Do you think I forgave Tom and Melanie? Do you think I simply moved on and tried to give my marriage another try? Absolutely not. I knew my worth and knew that I had fallen out of love with Tom. He didn't deserve me anymore. So, long story short, I divorced him. Carl is actually separated from Melanie and hasn't made a final decision yet. However, he seems to not want to be with her anymore either. I have started to work as the CEO of Carl's company, and I am genuinely having a good time. Everyone liked me here, and I am able to use my skills to make big plans for the future. Tom works under me and has to begrudgingly become my subordinate. He still tries to get me back, probably so that he can have full control over his father's shares. But he can dream on, because I will never be taking him back in this lifetime.